doing today? This is Zach Allen. I'm going to share a little tip with you today for your better players out there that are struggling with the pushes and the hooks. There's a lot of players at the advanced or intermediate level that suffer with the same problem, and it's a very hard problem to diagnose. I'm going to give you a couple thoughts and a couple drills that you can do to help you better guard against hitting those big pushes and big hooks with your longer clubs. So I've got a little swing trainer here that'll help me kind of illustrate what we want to do with the club face and the proper motion. You can see I've got it lined up with the leading edge of the club in a square position. So first, let me show you what I see a lot of good players doing that leads them to hitting big blocks and big overdraws and hooks. So in the backswing, sometimes the first move will be the club face staying too closed and too downward. From there, it's very easy for the path of the swing to go too much inside. So you'll notice in this first position here, the club face is a little too down at the ground, it's a little inside, and up at the top, the club wants to get across the line and a little shut. So if you guys notice from this position, because of where the golf club is pointing, as soon as it makes its way down, it's going to get much too far from the inside. It's going to force my butt into the ball, a little bit of early extension, and it's going to give the path of the swing too much of an inside approach. And if you come into it this way and the face stays a little open, you're going to hit a big hook, a big push. If you come into it from this position with the face closing at a little too fast a rate, you're going to hit the big overdraw. So it can be very frustrating because you'll experience misses that can go both ways. And typically also, you're usually a pretty powerful player. Those misses can go very far offline. So let me show you what I want you to do next time you're at the driving range. It all starts with kind of rotating your forearms a little bit differently. What I want you to think of in your first move back, I want you to get the club much more open and much more outside. A great way to think about it would be like you're hitting bunker shots or you're hitting high lob shots. Okay, it'd be very tough to do either one from this initial position in the takeaway. Okay, plus this sets off this whole chain of events of a cross, stuck inside, and then flipping our hands at the ball. So from here, if you notice, what we want to feel is the club face opening much more. You can see at this position it's a lot more open, and if anything, it's a little outside in this first position in the golf swing. But watch what happens here. As I go from this position up to the top, you can see how different that looks at the top. The club is almost even pointing a little left of the target. And if you look at the position of the face, the toe is hanging much more straight down. So from here, it's going to be much easier to make a transition where this club gets right back in front of me, and I don't have to do anything with my body to compensate on the downswing. Okay, so next time you're out there, work from here to here. This is really the crucial move, is get a little more open, get your wrist hinging up a little quicker so we can get a little more loft on the club and get the shaft plane working a little outside the target line. From here, it's going to be much easier to get it up at the top. You're going to feel a little more armsy, a little lifty, but that's going to be great, rather than, say, dragging the club in here and then it getting stuck back here. Okay, while this is a good way to hit the ball very long, it's not a good way to hit it accurately with a good start direction and very little curve. So here we are, right in this first position, up to the top, and you can see from this position, because of where it's pointing, it's going to be very easy to get the club down and in front of me and to maintain my body angles and my spine angle as I get down into the hitting area. And from here, it should be much easier to release the club on plane and then through to your finish. So, right, next time you're at the range, set up, do a couple little practice motions where you feel a little bit of rotation of the left arm, a little bit of hinge to the wrist, and then hit some shots with that. So that was perfect. That was just the exact feeling that I wanted. The ball started pretty straight with a tiny bit of fade, came out nice and high and soft, rather than when we start getting it in here, all the different misses that can go along with that takeaway. I'm going to show you a live example of one of my students who's a very good player who suffered with the same issue. Working on this radically changed everything. So cheers, and I hope that helps.
So here we have a real-world example of one of my students who is a scratch golfer that hits the ball very far, but was struggling with some of those pushes and big overdraws. And you see in the original motion here, you could see some of those issues that we were talking about in the backswing, of the club working back inside and closed in his takeaway. So we did some of those rehearsals of hinging and opening the face, taking it a little bit more outside the line like you would on a sand shot, And you see right away how much that changed the path of his backswing. So now the face is more square and it's on to slightly above plane. And that theme kind of continues as he gets up to the top. You can see the club is more in front of his chest. Here the golf club in this position is too low. It's down by his elbow. Where up here he's got it up in his right bicep. And then from here up to the top, he's in a much more neutral position, club looking more down the line, face more square. Where here as he gets it to that same position, you see how much more closed he is at the top and across the line. So also one thing to recognize, you notice he looks like he has less turn on the better swing, on the swing on the right. So from that position he was able to get the club down and in front of him more. This one, it's going to come so much more underneath and from the inside that he's really got to stand up and out of the way to get this club delivered to the golf ball. Alright, so you can see just because of some of those things, he's going to really be struggling with all this shaft raise from that original plane line to where it is at impact. Where here, he's getting much closer to what we want. Club face returning more square, more on plane delivery, and only a little bit of shaft raise. Much easier to release the club and start the ball on line from here, or even slightly left sometimes and hit little fades. Here, it's going to be big pushes and hooks, just depends on how the face reacts through the hit.